Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Now, today's episode, this isn't necessarily going to be about a military subject, but more of a foreign affairs type of subject. Now, here in the States, we are really just now hearing about this incident. We do hear about things that happen in the United Kingdom from time to time, and it is really disconcerting what is happening to the average Englishman, the indigenous Englishman that lives in England, Scotland. Even some of this craziness is happening in Ireland as well, and all across Western Europe. So it's just not England. But in this case, you have and again, forgive me, because I do believe most people, for our viewers in the United Kingdom, are very aware about this case. And here in the United States, not so much, but we are learning more about the case, and we're learning more about the absolutely absurd laws that exist in the ununited kingdom in terms of how the British government and the British police services are assisting in the annihilation of the English people. And I'm talking about white Anglo-Saxon Englishmen being killed in the street, in this case by both a butter chicken eater from the dark subcontinent, and you will hear reports that he was born in England, and I find that difficult to believe at this point. But anyway, I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse. Let me kind of explain what occurred. So you had this Englishman, this child, a kid, walking down the street in the United Kingdom, and apparently he makes eye contact with an individual. Here he is, this butter chicken eater, yes, from the subcontinent, and this butter chicken eater decides he does not like the way Henry is looking at him. Okay, Henry Nowak is unarmed. He is not carrying a weapon. He is simply carrying a phone. That's the only item he has on his person. The butter chicken eater, because of English law, is allowed to be armed with an 8-inch semi-sword dagger. Yes, the butter chicken eater is allowed to carry, yes, this dagger. And this is a weapon. Okay? This individual carrying the weapon under the auspice of religion, right? That's how the United Kingdom positions this. Oh, you're of this religion? Well, by all means, you can walk around with an 8-inch human butchering device. And if you are not of the butter chicken group, like Henry here, you get nothing. So Henry apparently makes eye contact, and there's words exchanged, and this butter chicken eater, yes, decides to pull out his 8-inch human butchering device and proceeds to slaughtering Mr. Henry Nowak. Now, what happens? What happens when the police, the constables, are called in the United Kingdom? Well, the brother of the perpetrator, the butter chicken eater, yes, decides to call the police and makes a false claim saying that a racial attack has taken place, right? So what does the glorified English constable do when he arrives at the scene to see a white Anglo-Saxon average Englishman laying on the street bleeding out? What does he do? He breaks out his handcuffs and he arrests the victim. Yeah, it's called officer discretion for you right there, right? Yeah. Anyway, to make a long story short, this made it through the quote-unquote British justice system, and eventually the butter chicken eater, yes, was sentenced to prison. But in all likelihood, Henry may have lived had the British police not shown up on the scene and, under the influence of woke English genocidal bureaucracy, decided to forcefully handcuff and not provide medical attention to Henry. So Henry is handcuffed, arrested, and bleeds to death and dies. Because in England, the butter chicken eaters, yes, are allowed to carry an 8-inch human butchering weapon, while the average Englishman is not. Yeah. Unbelievable. But not unbelievable. When is England going to stand up? How many children does it take to be slaughtered on the streets of England before the average Englishman stands up and says no more? Look, England, at this point, you do not have a choice. Your only option right now is the complete removal of these people. A great cleansing must occur. Otherwise, your civilization is going to disappear. This is going to be replaced with this. This is what England is going to look like in the not too distant future. You are looking at the complete eradication of the average Englishman living in the United Kingdom, the ununited kingdom. And again, what sort of draconian law, what sort of insane, unreasonable law allows this individual the right to carry a human butchering implement, and yet the average Englishman can carry nothing to defend himself? What do you think would have happened if this individual would have tried that, let's say, in rural Texas or Florida? What do you think would have happened? And he pulled out his human butchering instrument. And that's what it is for. You can say it's symbolic. It is not symbolic within that religion. They carry this as a weapon. That is what it means. I am carrying a human butchering device. And the British government is saying, well, one group gets to carry this and this group does not. At what point, England, are you going to rise up and say, no more? We are done with this. We're done with this. Time to leave. Time to leave. Time to go. Time to say bye-bye to the butter chicken eaters of the dark subcontinent and their human butchering implements. Unbelievable what is happening over there. I mean, it's unbelievable what is happening here, but it is more so unbelievable the perversion of natural law where one group is allowed to arm itself and kill another group. And when the police show up, the very apparatus that exists to protect individuals shows up and then essentially assists in murdering this child. And it's happened more than once. And it'll happen again. As always, thanks for joining us. More to come very, very soon. Good day.